Hello chess lovers, let's have a quick look at a game played by Wesley and Alexander Onischuk. The game was played in 2017 at US Championship in round 4. Wesley started with knight f3, d5, g3, knight f6, bishop g2, e6, castling, bishop e7, c4, English opening, castling. In this position it's quite possible to play d4 and transform the game into Queen's Gambit, but Wesley chose more rare line by playing b3, b6, bishop b2, bishop b7, c takes d5, knight takes d5, d4, knight d7, rook e1, preparing e4, c5, e4, knight f6, knight c3, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight e5, queen e2, setting a little trap, and bishop c5. Well, if you take on d4, then after knight d5, queen c5, rook ac1, queen d6, white is taking on e5, and after knight e7 check, this is of course good for white. Let's go back. In this position, as I have already mentioned, black played bishop c5. Now comes rook e d1, queen e7, escaping from this dangerous file. Well, again in this position, as you can see, the knight on d4 is hanging. Black can take on d4 with its bishop, but after knight b5, bishop takes f2 check, queen takes f2, queen b8, you have to protect your knight on e5, and knight d6, white is better. So in this position, black played queen e7, knight a4, bishop d4, bishop takes d4, knight c6, bishop e3, rook fd8, knight c3, queen b4, queen b2, knight g4, bishop f4, knight ce5, a3, queen c5, knight a4, and in this position they repeated the moves 2 times. After queen b5, well, as you know, Wesley is a player with a fighting spirit, and he decided not to go for such an easy draw and sharpened the game by playing h3. The thing is that after knight d3, white is exchanging its rook for 2 knights. He took on d3, rook takes d3, h takes g4, and now came a dubious move by black, queen takes b3. Actually, a better, more aggressive move is rook takes b3. If queen d4 in order to protect the knight on a4, then here comes rook c8, and of course this line is better for black. But it turns out that after queen b3 and offering an exchange of queens, this endgame favors white. Knight takes b2, rook b3, knight c4, and now you can see that suddenly white pieces are becoming completely dominating. Rook d8, and now this knight jumps on d6. You have to admit that it's very unpleasant to play with the black pieces when your opponent has such a strong knight on d6. Now white played g5. White is preparing this e5 move in order to strengthen the knight on d6. Rook c3, now a4, rook c5, e5, rook d7. It's very difficult to play with the black pieces. It seems like black has no idea how to go on. And now a strong move by Wesley. Can you find that move? He played, are you ready? He played bishop e3. A little positional sacrifice. The thing is that white is going to get rid of this rook on c5, which is controlling this c file. And after rook takes e5, white plays rook c1. And now white is taking under the control this c file and is threatening a check on c8, and after rook d8, this is a checkmate. So black played rook d8, and now rook c7, and white is penetrating to the 7th rank of his opponent. Rook d5, now comes knight takes f7, rook f8, g6, and already this is losing for black. H takes g6, knight g5, rook d1, knight takes e6, rook e8. Here comes rook takes g7 check, king h8, rook takes g6, bishop e4. Wesley So played bishop d4 check, and his opponent resigned, because if rook takes d4, then here comes a Zwischenzug by white, rook h6 check. If king g8, then white is simply taking on d4, and this is an easy win for white. An amazing game by Wesley So, especially I like this bishop e3 move in order to get rid of this rook on c5 and placing the rook on c1 and then penetrating to the 7th rank. So it turns out that after the 4th round, Wesley So is the sole leader of US Championship. Your comments please, and thanks for watching. Good luck.